Hello and welcome to Coffee with Carey. Nothing wrong with alone. I'm a big fan, personally speaking. But if you're a person who'd prefer having a partner, you might just need to hear this. Nearly all my clients who remain single after years of dating and thousands of dollars spent to find the perfect match are not really truly understanding this and also making a big assumption that's just wrong. That's what I want to talk about today. I want to share it with you. I hope you'll stick around because that's what's on the agenda. If you're like these clients of mine, you may be passing on people who could be your person. You're likely meeting people who would make a wonderful partner to you, but moving on after the first date to instead have a first date with somebody else entirely. First date to first date to first date. Is that you? If so, you're doing it wrong. Yeah, I said it. If you believe that you're doing it, dating that is, and making decisions about these dates in the only way that it can be done, and you're not even open to trying something different, then by all means, I have lots of other episodes to give you helpful tips on what makes for a great date and how to better your odds, ideas on who and where and what to say, and I won't be offended if you leave now to go check that out. But if I'm describing a situation that you're continually experiencing, I hope you'll listen because this will help you, I promise. You may not want to hear it, but it'll help you. A spoonful of sugar might be required. First of all, you need to get rid of that list. I don't know if it's just in your head, a list on your phone, or something that you've taken the time to write out on a piece of paper, but this is a list of all the must-haves your future partner must have, and all the deal breakers that they can't possess. And then a few other qualities thrown in for good measure that will definitely belong to the partner that you eventually select to partner with. I'm going to make a guess because I've seen hundreds of these lists that much of your list contains words that sound good on paper, and also some preconceived ideas about a human that you've never met. These words and ideas might be based mostly on things that you've read, videos, memes, definitely movies, and conversations you might have had about a future person who doesn't even yet exist in your life. And if you're being honest, they may not exist anywhere in the world. You basically conjured them up with this list. What do you think would be the best way for me to ask you to let go of this magical thinking and be vulnerable? What would I have to say to convince you to try humility and vulnerability? Maybe I'll just be bossy and tell you, be vulnerable, be open. And this one is important, be realistic. Before we talk about what your list should probably look like and the qualities that I would never have you compromise on, let me first start by pointing out that you probably don't even have all the attributes that are on your own list. Check it out. I know, I've had these lists. I had it for years. It was in my diary. It was tucked into a notebook. I get it. I want you to not just quickly browse the list, but instead, I hope that you'll try to picture what every one of those qualities looks like in a person. I want you to do this so that you can recognize that your list shouldn't be set in stone. Reason being, it's probably describing a unicorn. And all these years matching people with other people, I've never matched even one of those singles with a unicorn. So let's try a little experiment, a thought experiment, using Bumble or Hinge or whatever is your app of choice as an example. Think about yourself swiping left, 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 right. Am I correct? Yeah. I'm interested in thinking about or examining all those people that got swiped left. Let's think about it this way. If those were the last 10 men or women on Earth, do you think there's a possibility you could fall in love with any of those people and you could create an amazing life, loving each other, a life together? Without that unicorn list in the back of your mind, do you think that one of those losers could be a winner in your life? Let's think about this now. What if you had no friends and no family, and this person was never going to meet another human being who's currently in your life? Do you think that one of those people that you so easily swiped left could turn out to be super kind, thoughtful, and fun to hang out with, and someone that could turn out to be maybe even beautiful in your eyes once you actually do know them? Now consider how many people you swipe left during every swiping session. At the start, you pass on a lot of viable options, but there are a few that make it past these filters of yours, and you'll text with them in the messaging part of the dating app. But I understand we're all busy. You're busy, the other person's busy, and a couple messages back and forth, and then nothing. It probably just comes to a screeching halt with neither of you picking up this conversation again until eventually it's just at the bottom of a list of dead conversations in your phone. Or if you're organized like I am, you just delete the conversation graveyard altogether. Do you think any of those people, had you actually met them in person, could have been wonderful? Maybe kind, thoughtful, ambitious, interesting, sexy? Now let's talk about the precious few who make it past the messaging in the app stage. A couple are going to eke through and make plans to meet you. There's now a chance they'll do something dumb or ick or in the interim because they haven't watched my video on how much contact you should actually have with a person once you've actually made plans with them. Maybe they've gone too far and continue trying to make contact every day. Good morning, beautiful. Hey, how was your day? They message you too much, or they share too many pictures, one that totally turns you off, and now you don't even want to have the first date. You've changed your mind. I get it. There are so many things that can be icky with somebody that you haven't even met yet. But inevitably, in all the times that you've done that, you've let some super cool people slip through the cracks. Is it a miracle that you actually find yourself on a first date every once in a while? It is. And sometimes there's an obvious and exciting connection that gets made. Yeah, these are not the people I'm talking about. After the first date, you go through that date in your mind. You relive certain moments, good and bad, make a heck of a lot of assumptions because you have to. You don't know this person. Most of this process is going to be guessing at who they are and what's important to them, what they would be like as a friend or a partner, what they like to do. You're literally in the dark after one date. But often you're going to decide that this person just wasn't great. They just weren't perfect for you. You're not getting soulmate vibes from this guy or gal. You're probably not considering whether or not they were nervous or what kind of a day they had, or whether their face got all blotchy or broken out because of anxiety, or having their first really exciting date in a long time. So you're going to make a quick decision about whether you can see yourself with this person as your husband or wife, whether you felt any butterflies or had an inkling that you wanted to make out with them or have sex with them. And then you decide that the answer is probably no. So that's done. How many first dates do you think you've had with people who, had you gotten to know them better, like much better, and been extremely curious about who they were, allowed them to shine and show you like who they are and what they're about, could have been the love of your life? I know the answer. I'm just trying to help you realize that you're making choices all the time, and you should be aware of how these quick decisions affect all of us who are dating and trying to find the next great love of our life. Oh my God, you're dating somebody now. That is freaking amazing. I'm really happy for you. You're seeing each other a few times a week now. You definitely have plans for Saturday night. How cool is that? But I'll tell you what. I'll be right back. But I'll tell you what's inevitable with dating somebody who is not you: disappointment. Something's going to disappoint you and maybe even turn you off a little bit. It's so hard to avoid these icks, I know. Will it be the first, second, or third disappointment? I mean, this person isn't you. They're going to be really different than you. And some of the stuff, you can't see it coming. It's going to be disappointing when you don't see eye to eye on something or you discover something that isn't ideal. How many disappointments will convince you to take a pass and start the process all over again with somebody new? Most people say that one deal breaker and they're moving on, but in reality, we typically allow 2, 3, sometimes 4 before taking a solid pass. Are you the kind of person who, as soon as it gets real, and let's face it, occasionally annoying, or there's a decent-sized bump in the road or a challenge that really, truly requires effort and communication, you decide that it's probably easier if you walk? No? Oh, good. Because those things are going to happen. No two people can come together and not feel the friction of being two separate individuals who come from very different families, backgrounds, and experiences. It's definitely going to take some time and effort to overcome and accept these things about one another. If you always walk away at that intersection, if that's your MO, then you don't know what a relationship is, and that's okay. We all have to learn that. Maybe you just haven't yet, but you should know that it's an issue if you don't learn. At some point, it becomes necessary to look at this more closely and figure out so that you can find exactly what you are looking for, and I'm pulling for you, really. A shopping list about an unknown partner is a wish list, and realistically speaking, you're not going to get all those things in one person. You're just not. This isn't about settling. As a professional matchmaker, I can assure you that this is about wanting something that isn't perfect and doesn't exist. Also, something that any great matchmaker will tell you is that the spark on a first date, it's a myth. We aren't saying it doesn't happen, we're just saying it's very rare. We can, however, attest to all having happily married couples from our rosters who summed up the attraction from their first date as meh. Many of us have experienced this not just with clients, but from our own experiences in relationships, beginning with that same non-magical feeling. If you're failing to recognize these people as potential partners, what do you think is the cost of that decision? Actually, it's huge. It's the cost of being partnered or being alone, at least in the short term. But I told you I would share with you what your list should look like. First of all, I would be flexible wherever you can find flexibility. And I would delete anything on that list that you would settle for if they had every other quality you desire. A little trick is to imagine the most gorgeous person you can imagine, your favorite movie star maybe, and ask yourself, if they had this quality, would I be okay with that? If you would do it for them, you should do it for yourself. I promised you I would share my beliefs about what should be on your list. These are the things I would never ask you to compromise. So here's that top 10 list. A common vision for your future, kindness, respect, thoughtfulness, willingness to persevere when things are difficult, so not a quitter, someone who likes to laugh and can find the humor in most situations, someone who knows they're not perfect and is willing to work at becoming better. Number 8, you both want to have sex with each other. Number 9, someone who makes you a priority because your happiness matters to them. And number 10, if you have all of those, you don't need a 10th. I hope you found that helpful. If you did, before you leave, please indulge my mother and give the episode a thumbs up. Subscribe before you take off, because for me, that's life-changing. And I look forward to seeing you back here again soon. Until next time, thanks again, and have a good one.